Hi. So this is my live demo for Lab 10, where I worked on part B for setting up a Lambda function in Python that works with an EC2 instance running a Python-based Flask web application. So to set this up, the first thing that we're going to want to do is create an S3 bucket. I just reused mine from Lab 8 and 9 since it had all of the front-end web applications, because this is what is going to be serving our web pages to the public or whoever's using this. So the index and script, all of this is what's being served up as front end. But when you create a bucket, just make sure that when you set up the permissions that you turn off block all public access and change your bucket policy to um, set it so it's accessible outside of the S3 bucket. The next thing you're going to want to do is create an EC2 instance. I set up mine to run with T3 Micro, giving it 15 gigs. And yeah, and also it's good to keep track of your public IP because this is going to be used in the next part, which, well, actually, for giving the Lambda setup. But um, once you have that, you're going to connect to it and install all the dependencies to create a Flask web app. And make sure when that's running, you're also going to need to create an app.py to make that Flask web app work. So this is what I did. I had mine. So when a option is chosen on the front end page, it's going to send a choice and it's going to match up that choice to its corresponding value. And once that's sent, it will send the link redirect URL, send that redirect URL back. The next thing I did was set up an API gateway. I ended up using a post API, just because that worked best for my needs. And it's very important here to enable CORS. The CORS stands for cross-origin resource sharing, because without it, you're going to get blocked from changing different methods. Your browser is going to want to block your methods and headers. But enabling CORS can help you get around that. So when you set up a post for the integration request, you're also going to want to connect it to Lambda and make sure that Lambda proxy integration is set up to 2. So this is when your choice is made, that choice gets sent to the API, which then gets packaged and sent to the Lambda. But you're going to need that Lambda. So the last step is setting up our Lambda function. I set mine up with Python as the code base. And Python code base ended up actually being a bit outdated. So some of the tools needed dependencies. So similarly to setting up our Flask, or in Flask, you need to download Python to work. I needed to send it a layer that had those Python dependencies that could use request, get, and post. And I also changed it to print full body. These are just stuff that worked for me. So we can see here that the IP port path, this is what is getting uh, sent to our Flask page. And yes, a diagram that I set up is this. I made this draw.io where the client accesses the web page, click submit. That choice is submitted to the post. That this gateway then packages that information, gets sent to the Lambda. The Lambda then breaks down that code into a readable, something readable for the Python because it originally is a whole string and it just is broken. That choice gets sent to the Flask web app, hosted on the EC2, and then that matches the choice to its corresponding URL, redirects that, gets sent back with its status code, sends as a redirected URL, and then gets sent back to the client. A way that we can track this is when we go here, go back to objects, index. So the index is my front end web page. Here we go. Here, Audrey's Lab 10 web page. We can track. I want to go to part 3. Now, on my Nano page, we can see part 3 is going to send me to Lab 8 part 2. When I click part 3, it's going to take a second, and here we go, my third web page, and just a quick little description, Flask app, then reads the registered choice and sends it to the appropriate URL. We can actually see, and here I'll give it an extra thing, send it back to the front web page. The Flask, how I set it up, will show which one it's going to. So we can see I went to part 3, sends the URL, post/API. Then I wanted to go back to part 1. So this is one of the ways that I tracked the any issues that I might have had. Because if it didn't get that, then sometimes it would show up with errors. 404 errors came up a few times. But another way that I tracked it was using the inspect tool for the console debugger and network. That gave me some pretty in-depth explanations. But also there were CloudWatch and just, yeah, working through all those helped me figure stuff out. So yeah, that was my project. Thank you very much.